What the heck is going on with DC in film right now? That is a question with many different answers depending on the day, the hour, the minute even, because they always seem to be changing their approach. Now, Marvel, on the other hand, they're solid when it comes to their movies. Or at least they're solid when it comes to their approach. They know, you know, your Grandma Caroline knows that every movie that comes out of Marvel Studios is connected to the others. Now, DC tried this, and, well, it didn't work out too well for them. Everybody knows that the DCEU was a bit of a failure. But what if it wasn't? What if we played a little make-believe and pretended that DC wanted to give this whole interconnected movies thing another try? What if I was given full control over DC films at Warner Brothers and was allowed to start completely fresh with my own cinematic universe? Where would I start? Well, why not with the big blue Boy Scout himself, Superman? Okay, first things first. If we're gonna reboot Superman again, we have to first clear up what Superman is and what he is not. Superman is not Batman. A Superman film should leave an audience feeling inspired, hopeful. It should make them believe a man can fly. Let's leave the dark stuff to the Dark Knight for now. Now, this doesn't mean the story is going to be toothless. A story can have real stakes, real loss, and still leave the audience feeling inspired by the end. Okay, so Superman's not Batman, got it? Good. 2, so many stories these days use Superman as just a big gun that they can point at other characters, mostly Batman, so that they can beat him and show how powerful or capable they are. Wow, they're so powerful they can even beat Superman. That's cool, right? That's so cool, man. That's cool, right? No, it's not.
No, wait, it's me! Bogart, remember? It's bad to kill. Guns kill. And you don't have to be a gun. You are what you choose to be. You choose.
Lastly, Superman does not see saving people as a burden. Look at any clip of Superman saving people in the Zack Snyder films. Does that man look like he enjoys what he's doing? No, he looks constipated. He looks like he'd rather take an X-Lax and go to sleep than do what he's doing. Superman loves being Superman.
He's gonna help!
It's okay now. I've got you. All right. Who wants to explain what you were doing up there?
They dared me.
We didn't think you'd do it.
I know it's tough to turn down a dare, but sometimes being brave means using your head and not doing something dangerous just because other kids pressure you.
You're right, Superman. I'll be smarter next time. Yeah, thanks, Superman.
Okay then. Bye-bye.
Superman is like Mr. Rogers on steroids. He's the sweetest, most caring guy you'll ever meet. But if he needs to, he will 100% punch you through 2 planets. Now, people say that isn't interesting. A guy who is super caring and also super powerful is boring. Well, I hope to prove today that it's the complete opposite of boring, if done right. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the first film of my little fictional cinematic universe, simply titled Superman. If there's one thing I think everybody is tired of seeing in Superman movies, it's his origin. We all know it. His planet's about to go boom, so parents send him to Earth where he is raised by kind country folk who raise him to be a morally righteous hero. We know it, we've seen it, we're tired of it, so we're gonna skip it. Instead, we're gonna kick this movie off with an action scene. We open on the streets of Metropolis, where the villain Livewire and her crew are robbing a mom-and-pop jewelry store. Livewire watches with a devilish grin as her men break all the glass cases and take the jewelry inside. She then goes into the back and begins shoving even more jewelry inside a bag before hearing what sounds like a scuffle in the front of the shop. She rushes back to the front to find that all of her men have been knocked out by none other than Superman himself.
Hi, Livewire. If we could make this quick, I'm running late.
Livewire answers his request with an electric blast to the chest, knocking him out of the store into the middle of the street. Superman gets up and jokes quietly to himself.
Note to self, supervillains don't care about your schedule, Clark.
Seeing Livewire is preparing to strike another blow, Superman approaches the sidewalk in front of the store and kicks a fire hydrant, causing water to explode out of it. Then, as Livewire rushes him, he uses his freeze breath to direct the water toward her, making her soaking wet and diffusing her electricity powers. Now desperate, Livewire scrambles and grabs the gun of one of her crew and points it at Superman.
I should warn you, it's been done.
Livewire then lowers the gun, defeated. Police then arrive on the scene, and one of the officers approaches Superman. I gotta say, I had my doubts when you first showed up. But Luthor is wrong about you. This city is safer with you watching over it.
You mean with us watching over it. Good day, officer.
Superman then flies off into the sky and rolls back the cuff of his suit to check his watch.
Okay, I'm officially cutting it close. If I don't head to this interview now, Lois will have my head.
Then, as he heads to his interview, we get a moment to just watch him fly over the city. One of my favorite things in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, was the moments where you just get to see the hero move around the city. Because those are the moments that made me want to be a superhero when I was a kid. I call them the wow that looks fun moments. So we get a wow that looks fun moment, but it is interrupted when Superman spots a young boy trip on his shoelace and fall into the middle of a busy street. He swoops down, saves the kid, and says,
You alright, buddy? What's your name?
The boy nervously responds, Billy. And, I know yours. Superman smiles.
Make sure to keep those shoes tied. Alright, Billy?
He then begins to fly off again before Billy stops him. Wait, I don't know how. Clark thinks for a moment, says to himself,
Lois is gonna kill me.
And then floats back down. We then cut over to Lois Lane at LexCorp, getting ready to sit down with Lex Luthor. He is running for president, which would be made clear in the movie by the Luthor for President posters all over the city while Superman is flying around. Lex enters the room and Lois gets up to meet him. Lois says while shaking Lex's hand,
Hello, Mr. Luthor. Lois Lane, Daily Planet.
Lex gives his focus-tested smile and says,
Yes, we have met before. Why? Am I not important enough to remember?
Lois smirks.
No, I actually assumed you would have forgotten meeting me.
Lex laughs.
How could I forget meeting such a beautiful woman?
Lois shrugs.
Well, you forgot to be on time to this meeting, so I assumed you have a bad memory.
Lex's jovial but clearly fake smile drops, and he responds,
I wouldn't judge people on their punctuality, Miss Lane, especially when one of your own reporters is late. It is my understanding that Mr. Kent was also supposed to be joining us for this interview. If I am correct, your company is going under, and it is very important that you know this. So, I ask you, what could possibly be more important for Mr. Kent than being right here, right now?
Hard cut to the boy now tying his shoes.
There, you got it. You're a pro now.
Superman says, getting up and once again glancing at his watch.
Alright, I have to get going, Billy, but I'll see you around.
He then stops himself when he notices the boy has a black eye.
Hey, Billy, if you don't mind me asking, how did you hurt your eye?
Billy looks embarrassed.
Just these guys at school were picking on my sister, so I tried to stop them, and it didn't go too well.
Clark kneels down.
Well, that was very brave of you to get involved. I'll tell you what.
He then removes his watch and hands it to Billy.
This is a signal watch. If you press this button, it will emit a high-frequency signal that only I can hear. If those kids are ever bothering you or your sister, or you just need someone to talk to, press it, and I'll come as soon as I can.
The boy smiles.
Thank you.
And keep those dang shoes tied, all right?
He then flies off. Clark finally arrives at LexCorp as Lois is leaving. He tries to talk to her, but she walks right past him. He yells out as she is walking.
Oh, Lois, I'm so sorry. I overslept. Let me buy you lunch.
Lois sighs and turns around.
Clark, you know how important this interview was, and you missed it. Why are you always tired anyway? Being a reporter isn't that taxing. Usually your bumbling kind of clumsy ways are cute, but this was a big deal and I could have used your backup in there. I can't stay mad at you. But you better be on time to the Superman Luthor live discussion in a few days.
Clark is confused.
The what?
Yeah, Luthor gave it to me as an exclusive. He wants to have a televised talk with Superman at his next rally. He said he wants to do it to end the beef between them, but I bet he just thinks embarrassing Metropolis's golden boy on live TV might help his campaign. I doubt Soups will even show up.
Do you think he should?
Clark asks.
Hell no. There's no point in arguing with Luthor. While the rest of the world sees Superman as a hero, Lex and his supporters just see him as an invader. Now, let's go get this lunch you've been bragging about.
We then jump forward a few days and we're at the Kent farm, where Clark hopes to get some advice from his mother Martha.
Why did you say that name?
On whether or not he should show up to the discussion.
I just don't know, Ma. Maybe Lois is right. Maybe this is just him trying to set Superman up again, or maybe this really is a peace offering.
Martha laughs.
First of all, what did I say about you referring to yourself in the third person? And second, Jonathan always told you your gut is wiser than your mind. So listen to it first. What is your gut telling you?
It is now the night of the event. As Clark arrives, Lois makes a joke about him finally being on time for once. Lex is sitting in a chair on a stage. Across from him is another chair where Superman should have been sitting over 10 minutes ago. A large crowd has gathered at the rally, and there are many news channels broadcasting the event. Lex mutters to himself,
Is he really showing me up? He can't be running late. He's Superman, for Christ's sake.
He then gets up and turns on his microphone. Facing the cameras and the crowd, he begins to speak.
Fellow citizens, I don't want to waste any more of your time. I'm sure it has become quite obvious to you all that Superman has decided not to attend my little meeting. I tried to extend an olive branch and he burned it with his heat vision. Very well, I guess I'll just go ahead and share with you what I was planning to say to him. I was going to ask him if he feels he has earned his place on our planet, and then inform him he has not. He has done some good in the time he has been here, even I could admit that. But that small amount of good cannot overshadow the bad he could do. I can't, we can't live our lives knowing that one man, no, alien, could wipe us out in seconds if he felt like it, and there wouldn't be a damn thing we could do about it. What would we do? What would we do? I want you to think about those 4 words the next time you see the Kryptonian fly over your head.
The crowd then begins to clap, and Lex smiles before realizing that they aren't clapping for him. We then see a familiar red and blue figure float down behind Luthor. Lois turns to say something to Clark, only to realize he isn't next to her anymore.
You've got me wrong, Lex. You have everything wrong.
Now, in this moment, Superman and Lex are about to have the same debate many Superman fans have, where some fans believe he truly is of Krypton, and he's more Jor-El and Lara's son, while other fans, including myself, believe Clark was raised by the Kents, and he's more their son.
Let me ask you this, who is more Superman's father?
Jonathan Kent,
Jonathan
1,000%.
Or Jor-El?
Jonathan Kent.
Off.
Are you kidding me?
Jor-El! Actual dad!
Oh my
His
God.
actual biological dad!
Anyway, back to the story. Luthor turns and approaches Superman, now in his face.
What exactly did I get wrong there? You aren't a human. You are not one of us. You are an it.
Lex, I grew up in Kansas. Heck, I could square dance and play at least 3 songs on the guitar way before I discovered any of my powers.
The crowd laughs.
You may fool them. Hell, it seems you've even fooled yourself. But I know what you are. You are an alien with the potential to destroy everything we hold dear.
Alright, so, just a brief warning. What Lex is about to say next is kind of a big deal. It's what the rest of this story is about to rest on. What happens as a result of what he's about to say is going to change Clark's life forever.
Answer this. Why did you really come here? Why aren't you on Krypton?
Superman is confused.
Krypton? It was destroyed.
No, it wasn't. One of my deep space exploration teams found it on their last mission. I can't believe I ever believed your last son of Krypton sob story.
You're lying!
I can tell you how to get there and you can see it for yourself.
Clark is beyond confused and rattled by this news, but doesn't have too long to think about it, because suddenly his super hearing picks up people crying out for help from all the way across the city. Without saying a word, he barrels out of there, leaving Lex in the crowd confused as to where he could be going. He then arrives at an apartment on fire and sees that police and firefighters are already on the scene. He approaches the fire chief and asks,
"Is there anyone still in the building?"
The chief tells him that they've gotten everybody on the lower floors out, but they can't get to the upper floors because they're blocked off. Clark says he can put the fire out, but the chief says there's no time for that because the building could collapse any second. Superman bursts in and sees that everyone in the upper floors have gathered together into one apartment. One of the citizens says, "Superman, thank God. I think this thing's about to fall on top of us. Please, just take the women and children and get them out of here." Clark responds,
"I'll take them first, but I promise you, I'm getting you all out."
He then begins rushing people out, but after just a few trips, the building begins to collapse. Time then slows to a crawl for Superman as he desperately tries to reach the civilians still trapped inside. But he fails. And those lives are lost. A few hours later, we find our hero sitting on the rooftop of the Daily Planet, devastated. Lois then approaches and sits beside him.
I thought I might find you up here. How are you doing?
I failed, Lois. Simple as that.
Don't be too hard on yourself. You were just told big news with the whole Krypton thing. Plus, it was a no-win situation.
I am the one person who is supposed to be able to fix no-win situations. I don't expect you to understand that. I don't think anyone can. I looked a man in his eyes and promised him he would be okay, and I failed him. And now his daughter has to grow up without a dad. That's on me.
Lois just hugs the Man of Steel, then hesitantly asks,
I'm sorry to bring up another tough subject, but what are you thinking about the Krypton thing? I bet Lex is lying. He's just trying to get you off-world for some reason. Maybe that's his idea of a vacation.
It's possible, but he knows how fast I am. At most, the trip would only take me a few days.
then maybe just go ask him about it. What's the harm, right?
I'll think about it.
The next day, Clark finally finishes his latest report and turns it into editor-in-chief at the Daily Planet, Perry White. Perry remarks on how it's 2 days late and sees that Clark looks upset and says, "What's up, Kent? You look stressed or tired or something. What's going on with you?" Clark simply says,
I've just got a lot on my mind.
Perry then repeats Lois's earlier sentiment. "You're just a reporter, Kent. Relax." Clark then leaves Perry's office and runs into young photographer Jimmy Olsen and asks where Lois is. Jimmy then jokes, "You're always asking about that girl, man. Either ask her out or let it go." Clark shrugs and says,
I'm not always asking about her, am I?
Jimmy then tells him, "She's on a plane right now to Star City to interview the Queen kid." Clark replies,
Oh, okay, thank you. Hope she lands safely.
and Jimmy assures him she will. "No doubt, man. You know, statistically speaking, it's the safest way to travel." We then comedically hard cut to the plane spinning out of control. Panicked, Lois grabs her purse from under her seat and pulls out her own signal watch and activates it. Clark is at his desk typing when he hears the signal. He then sneaks out of the building into an alleyway, and we get the classic change into Superman scene. Now, I know that we have seen this similar setup to a scene before in Superman Returns, but in that movie, while we mostly saw things from Lois's perspective inside the plane, this time we are going to mostly follow Superman trying to figure out how to stop it. We also have a very different Superman than the one in that movie. Brandon Routh's Superman was supposed to be a continuation of Christopher Reeve's version, so he had been around the block, so to speak. He had probably caught like 100 planes in his time. Plus, the dude was like the Babe Ruth of saving Lois by that point. My Superman, on the other hand, has only been doing this thing for like a year and a half. And while he's no spring chicken, he doesn't quite have catching a whole freaking plane down yet. Do you know how to stop a plane from spiraling out of the sky to its doom? Yeah, neither does he. Also, at this point in the story, he has a lot on his mind, and he isn't at his best. So he messes up a lot. When he first flies next to the plane, he grabs onto a wing to try to slow the thing from spinning, but ends up only ripping the whole wing off of the thing. As the plane approaches a nearby city, he tries to grab it from the side, but gets clipped by a building. He eventually does stop the plane though by holding onto the nose and digging his feet into the ground, practically being buried in the process. Bystanders gather around the plane thinking he might have died, but he claws his way out from under it. Now, with his suit all ripped up and completely caked with dirt, he rips off the door of the plane and enters. He asks,
"Is everyone all right?"
Then, after seeing everybody is, and spitting dirt out of his mouth, he says,
You know, statistically speaking, this is still the safest way to travel.
We then cut to the Kent farm, where Martha gives Clark a new suit all folded and tells him,
Please try to take better care of this one. I just used the last of the Kryptonian fabric from the sheets you were sent here in, and I'm pretty sure they don't sell bulletproof cloth at any fabric stores near here.
Clark thanks her, takes the suit, and goes to leave before stopping in the doorway.
Hey, Ma, I need to talk to you about something.
Martha smiles knowingly and says,
You want to ask me about what I think about what Lex said on TV?
Clark nods.
Yeah, I don't know, Ma. Ever since Lex said what he said, I keep making mistakes as Superman. I feel like I'm here on Earth, but my mind is on Krypton. I need to know if it's true.
Martha looks almost scared by Clark's words and replies,
If that's what you feel, then I think you should go. But my only fear with you doing that, and I know this is selfish, but it's that you'll go and you will find Krypton, and you'll never come back.
Clark speeds over and hugs his mother.
I can promise you that would never happen. I always have and always will come home to you.
He then thanks her and flies off, with Martha saying as he leaves,
I hope you're right.
The following day, Superman lands in front of LexCorp to a bunch of reporters taking pictures of him and asking him questions like, "Are you leaving Earth forever? Does this mean you endorse Luthor for president?" He enters the building and is escorted by Luthor's assistant, Mercy Graves, to the 25th floor, where Luthor is waiting with a group of scientists. Luthor asks Mercy if she told Supes about the shot yet, and Superman says,
What shot? You're not injecting me with anything, Luthor.
And Luthor says to relax, and that the route to Krypton isn't as simple as turn left on Mars, and that he needs to actually have the map implanted into his mind through an injection. Supes considers this for a moment, then says,
You know what, Luthor? I'm out. I don't trust...
But is cut off when one of the scientists injects him with a syringe in the back of his neck as he is talking. Supes' head is spinning. He asks, dazed,
Why did you do that? How did you do that? My skin is...
Lex cuts him off.
Impenetrable. Maybe to most things, but not to kryptonite. Which is exactly what that syringe Professor Hamilton just injected you with is made of.
Supes then asks,
Kryptonite? What is that?
Luthor, Mercy, and all of the scientists laugh. Luthor then says,
Oh, sweet, innocent Superman, you have so much to learn. Now steady yourself and think about Krypton, and you should see the map.
Supes regains his balance and does in fact see the route to Krypton.
I see it!
He exclaims and turns to leave before stopping himself, and hesitantly turning back to Lex and saying,
Thank you, Luthor. You've given me a gift today.
Luthor smiles and says,
Go find your true home, Superman.
Kal-El nods before leaving the building and flying up into space to begin his journey. This is the point in the film where we kind of switch perspectives for a little bit. Where before we had only been following Clark, we will now be following Lois. We see her going on with her life as months pass with Superman gone. We see a little montage of her daily routine as the seasons pass, and we see her occasionally looking up to the sky, hoping to see any sign of the hero of Metropolis. There has been a gradual increase in crime since Superman has been off-world, and more crime means more to report. So Lois and Jimmy have been working overtime at the office. We cut to her working at her desk as the sun sets, and Jimmy approaches her and asks, Okay, are you 100% sure Big Blue gave you absolutely no hints as to how long he would be gone? Lois replies,
At this point, Jimmy, I don't know if you'll ever be back. I need some air.
She then goes to the roof for a cigarette. But right before she lights one up, she is interrupted by a strong, harsh voice behind her that says,
Where did he go?
She screams, drops her cigarette, and pulls out her pepper spray before turning to see nothing. After looking around for a few seconds, she relaxes a little, only to hear the same voice say,
I know you're close to him.
She looks to the right to see a horned creature with white eyes mostly masked in shadow. Lois is terrified before she realizes something.
You're the vigilante from Gotham.
The horned creature speaks.
I have a lot more work to do tonight, so I'd like an answer. Where is the Kryptonian?
Lois smirks.
It's in the name, pal. He left. Went back to Krypton.
The vigilante approaches Lois, stepping out of the shadows but still covering his body with his cape.
That's what I figured after this little episode with Luthor on TV. But my satellites never detected.
You have satellites?
Lois asks, but only gets two white eyes staring back at her in response. She rolls her eyes.
Well, he hasn't been around. And he seemed really excited to leave everything he has here behind.
Lois lights a new cigarette. The Crusader turns away from Lois and starts toward the edge of the rooftop.
Listen, I don't have time to look into this right now, or to be your relationship counselor. But if you do love him, I suggest you look a little deeper into Luthor.
He then dives off the building. Jimmy then comes through the door and asks,
Are you alright? I thought I heard you scream.
Lois answers,
I'm fine, but I need you to schedule an interview with Luthor. Just tell him it's about his campaign.
We now skip forward a week or so to Lois arriving at LexCorp and being escorted up to Luthor by Mercy, much like Superman was. Lois and Lex both sit down at his desk to begin the interview, and Lex cuts right to the chase.
Miss Lane, I don't want to waste your time, and I definitely don't want to waste mine. I know why you're really here. You want to ask me about the Kryptonian.
Lois doesn't try to lie to him.
Yes.
I clearly thought way too highly of you. At least come up with something better than an interview about my campaign. I guess love can even make the Daily Planet's most acclaimed reporter senseless.
Lois asks,
Love? What are you talking about?
Oh, please, it's all over your face. Look, I'll say the same thing to you that I have said to every other reporter that has asked me about his disappearance. As everyone saw, I gave him a chance to return to his true home world, and he took it. Simple as that. Now, respectfully, get the hell out of my office.
Lois stops and ponders her next words carefully, then says,
You're right, Lex. I love Superman. I miss him so much. These last few months have been so hard without him. I've just been so lonely.
Lex is surprised by Lois dropping her guard and moves from his desk to sit next to her.
You must feel kind of betrayed after he left you so easily like that. Did he even talk to you before he left?
Lois then begins to cry.
No. No, he didn't.
Lex then puts his arm around Lois and begins to say,
You know, it seems like you could really use someone.
But in that moment, Lois grabs an award off of his desk and strikes him in the head with it, knocking him out.
Gross. Okay, Gotham boy, you better be right.
She says to herself as she rises from her chair and begins hastily looking around Lex's office for anything suspicious that could lead back to Superman. She searches his desk and opens a drawer to find inside a revolver surrounded by green bullets and what looks to be a panic button. Suddenly, Mercy, Lex's assistant, knocks on the door, asking if everything is alright in there. Lois begins to panic, and as a last resort, hesitantly presses the button and sees a bookcase in the corner of the room shift over to reveal a secret passageway. She walks over to it, and before entering, curses to herself.
Damn it, Lois, why were you born so damn curious?
Before entering the passageway and closing it behind her, just as Mercy and some guards burst into the office. At the end of the passageway, she finds something she never could have expected. A laboratory with Superman in the center of it, strapped to a chair. In that moment, she realizes he never even left Earth, and that Luthor must have been holding him prisoner here the whole time. Now, you're thinking, wait a minute, JT, you son of a gun, you lying devil. You told me that Superman flew off into space. Well, he thinks he did. All is about to be revealed. Lois approaches Superman. He is super pale, with huge bags under his eyes and a lifeless, disturbing stare. He also has a large, mysterious, what looks to be living creature attached to his chest.
Superman, are you okay? Can you hear me?
She tries shaking the Man of Steel, but he continues to stare forward, completely blank. Lex and Mercy then enter the hidden room, along with a bunch of armed LexCorp security. Holding her at gunpoint, Luthor begins to explain.
So you found my little secret. After your little performance back in my office, I'm tempted to just have my men kill you now. But I guess you've earned a bit of an explanation first. I may have been fibbing when I told Superman that my space exploration teams found Krypton, but they actually did find something quite interesting. That beautiful little life form on his chest. The Black Mercy plant. It's mostly harmless, but it too likes to tell its own fibs. My team found that when attached to a person, it paralyzes them, taps into the pleasure centers of their brain, and feeds off psychic energy by inducing a dream state. Basically, our Man of Steel is living out his perfect life in his mind.
I don't understand. He would never agree to this. And all of the guards in the world couldn't stop him.
Ah, see, that was the tricky part.
We now flash back to the moment Superman was injected by the Doctor with the quote-unquote map to Krypton. But this time, we see that he was actually knocked out by what he was injected with. Then, the Black Mercy plant was placed on him. Lex continues.
The Black Mercy plant will fill in any of the holes between your real life and your dream life. So I imagine Superman saw himself flying off to Krypton to start his new perfect life that he always wanted, where maybe he's the ruler and makes everyone do his bidding. It doesn't matter. All that matters is I got him out of the picture. Now I can begin to get everything back to normal again.
Where you're unchallenged.
Lois remarks. Lex smiles.
Exactly. The only cage that can hold Superman is one he does not want to leave. You know what the best thing about the Black Mercy plant is? It makes all of the subject's life before it fuzzy and slowly makes them forget it. In his false, pathetic little world, decades have passed. And I'm sure he has forgotten all about little old Lois Lane.
We now go into Superman's mind and get a glimpse at his dream, his perfect life. We see he's middle-aged, has a wife, a son, and is finally reunited with his Kryptonian parents. We see him sitting with his whole family at a park, surrounded by a perfect, utopian Krypton. As his son plays on the playground with his grandparents, Kal-El talks to his wife about how happy he is with his life, but he always has this feeling in the back of his mind that he has forgotten something very important.
I know it's selfish, but I just feel like I'm missing something. I don't quite feel whole.
His wife smiles and reassures him.
That's one of the reasons I love you, Cal. You're never satisfied. You're always chasing after the next big thing. It inspires me, it inspires Van, and it inspires everyone you meet.
Kal-El smiles at her.
I love you.
We then leave this beautiful lie and cut back out to the real world, where one of the guards is searching Lois. They take her purse, her phone, and the guard then stops to make fun of her, saying,
"Oh, look, boss. She's such a fangirl, she even has a Superman watch."
Lois smirks and says,
It does more than just tell the time.
then pushes back the guard and activates the signal watch, holding it right next to Superman's ear. Kal-El then hears the sharp ringing of the signal in the dream world and begins to put things together. He remembers everything about the real world and realizes that what is around him, the life he has been living for so many years, is merely a facade, a lie. He gets off of the bench and turns to his wife.
I need to leave. I'm sorry.
But in that moment, the ground of Krypton begins to shake. A soft rumble quickly turns violent as cracks begin to form in the ground and lava begins shooting out of them. His son jumps off of his swing and runs into Kal-El's arms. He says,
"Dad, I'm scared. What is happening?"
Kal-El then pulls his wife, his son, and his true parents into a circle and has a painful talk.
I love all of you more than I have ever loved anything. I would die for any of you in an instant, and I have treasured every moment I've had to spend with you, but I don't think you're real.
His son begins to cry.
I'm so sorry, Van.
Kal-El then holds them all tightly in his arms as this perfect world, this perfect dream, falls apart around him. Superman then wakes up and pulls the plant off of him. He's sad, he's broken, but most importantly, he's pissed. Lois is so happy to see him up and okay, but is also a little frightened, as she's never seen him so angry before. The plant jumps up and tries to reattach itself to him, but he burns it to a crisp with his heat vision. His eyes still glowing red, he speeds around the room and takes out all of the guards and Mercy. He then grabs Luthor by the neck.
Do you have any idea what you've done to me? What you've taken from me?
Luthor smiles.
That's nothing compared to what she's about to do to you. Mercy, activate Protocol Metallo.
Mercy, who was supposedly knocked out on the ground, springs up onto her feet like a puppet on strings, and her eyes then shoot open, now glowing green.
Yes, this is probably a good time to tell you. Mercy does a little more than drive me around and get my coffee. She's also a bodyguard of sorts. And you know that kryptonite I told you about? That's her power source. Mercy, protect!
Mercy then charges Superman, tackling him through the wall out of the building. They are now free-falling, with Mercy still on Superman, striking him. Supes manages to throw her off of him, causing her to fall down to the street, landing on a car. She jumps up, seemingly not affected at all. Supes lands in front of her, and they continue fighting. It's brutal. As they fight, more of Mercy's robotic skeleton is revealed, also exposing more of the kryptonite. Supes can feel himself growing weaker as the kryptonite slowly kills him from the inside. He pushes her back and scans her android body with his X-ray vision, looking for some kind of weakness. While he is doing that, though, one of Mercy's fists expands and she punches Superman with it, sending him flying super far before eventually landing in the middle of a kid's baseball game. Supes gets up, dazed and disoriented, and turns to one of the kids.
Where am I?
The kid, obviously shocked but happy to see the hero, answers, hi Superman. Washington, D.C.
Quite a punch.
Clark then notices something. He notices that the kid kind of looks like his son in the dream world, Van. Now, this is a big moment for him, as he is reminded that while he may have lost that dream family that he was with for what felt like so many years, he has people on this earth that still need him. He then turns and sees Mercy making her way to him, jumping Hulk-style great distances.
All right, time to finish this.
As he starts to fly toward her, he hears the kids from the game yelling things like, "Good luck, Superman! You got this!" Mercy and Supes then continue their vicious battle, and the android is clearly winning. As Mercy stands over the hero of Metropolis, brutally beating him into the ground, Clark realizes something. He kicks the android off of him and rises up into the sky.
You know what? You're a robot. You were made for one purpose, and that's to destroy me. You don't have emotions or hopes and dreams or people you care about, so that means I get to cut loose.
He then soars up into the air and continues flying all the way up into space toward the sun. He then stops and closes his eyes right in front of it. We see his wounds and bruises slowly heal, and he opens his eyes that are now once again glowing red. He then darts back down toward Earth with a glowing aura surrounding him and flattens the android, destroying it. He then picks up the kryptonite that was in the center of its chest and brings it to the same kids on the baseball field.
Hey, I need you guys to watch this until I come back. Can you do that for me?
The kids nod and ask, "What is it?" And Superman replies,
I honestly don't know, but I know who made it.
He then flies back to LexCorp where Lois now has Luthor at gunpoint. Lois, in tears, says,
Tell him, Lex! Tell him what you just told me.
Supes flies down in between them.
Tell me what?
Luthor begins.
The building fire, the one you had to leave our live discussion for,
He caused it. He killed those people.
Lois interrupts. Clark is crushed by the news and almost childishly asks Lex,
Why?
I needed to question your ability to save people, ultimately making you question your place on this planet. Look, I've had a lot of fun today, but now I'm a little tired, so let me make things clear for both of you. You aren't going to be able to tie any of this back to me, and even if you could, I pay my legal team my weight in gold every year to make sure I never go anywhere near a jail.
Lois, enraged and still pointing a gun at Luthor, says,
Well then, consider this your sentence.
And fires the gun. Time then slows to a crawl once again for Superman. Still standing between the two of them, he sees the bullet leave the chamber of the firearm and slowly travel toward Luthor. He has an honest moment where he considers letting Lex die. But right as the bullet is about to reach Luthor's face, he stops it. He then flicks Lex on the forehead, knocking him out, and hugs Lois as police enter the room. We then cut to several weeks later, and we're back at the Kent farm, where Clark is filling Martha in on everything that happened, and specifically his experience in the dream world.
I had a family, Ma. I wasn't a Superman there. I was normal. I belonged. I haven't gotten over it, and I don't know if I ever will.
Martha smiles lovingly, runs her hand through Clark's hair, and says,
Maybe you don't need to. Maybe what Lex did to you, as much as it hurt, was, in a way, a gift. It gave you a glimpse of what you truly, in your heart, want out of your life. I say listen to it.
Clark then pictures Lois, and says,
Yeah, maybe I will.
We jump to the next morning, with Clark entering the Daily Planet elevator, and just before the doors close, Lois runs in.
Long time no see, Smallville. How was your vacation?
Hi, Lois. Good. Yeah, my vacation was good. Yeah. Hey, I don't know. I missed you when I was gone, and was wondering, did you wanna go out sometime with me? Out like on a? You can totally say no.
Wow, that was tough for you. I would, but I'm still caught up working with Superman on the Luthor exposed story. Another time?
The elevator then reaches their floor, and she walks out without waiting for Clark's response. Clark then says to himself,
Okay, how about I try that again?
That night, Lois heads up to the roof for a cigarette, and out of the clouds comes the Man of Steel.
Good evening, Lois.
Lois then quickly throws away her cigarette and waves the smoke away.
Hey, hi, Superman. Unfortunately, I only have bad news for you. The devil works fast, but Luthor works faster. It seems he's completely covered up the incident. It doesn't seem like this will even affect his campaign. Get this. He told the media that the android that put a hole in the side of his building and tossed you across states was a malfunctioning combat robot he was working on for the military. He even gave you credit. Said if you hadn't stepped in, it could have killed somebody. So at least he was forced to say Superman was helpful for once.
I know. I saw his statement this morning.
Oh, then can I ask why you're here?
Lois, what Luthor did to me, what he did to those people in that apartment, it all nearly broke me. I don't know, as strange as it sounds, sometimes I just feel so powerless, but through it all, you've been by my side, holding me up, keeping me going. I love you for that.
Superman, I care for you. I really, really do, I think. I hope you know that. But I don't even know your real name. I don't know if you have one.
Lois, you do know my name.
Supes then reaches behind his back and pulls out his Clark Kent glasses and hands them to Lois. She looks down at them and realizes what he is trying to tell her.
Clark, how could I be so stupid? You must think I'm so stupid. Some reporter, huh?
You're not stupid, I'm just a great actor.
They both laugh, then hug, and we now transition to Luthor looking out the window of his office at the night sky. Suddenly, the lights go out in his office. A voice then comes from the shadows. The same harsh voice we heard on the Daily Planet rooftop.
Don't bother calling security. They can't hear you.
Lex freezes. With fear in his voice, he asks,
Who is that? What do you want?
He takes out his phone and shines the light on the mysterious figure in the shadows. The caped vigilante looks terrifying in the small amount of light.
You got lucky, Luthor. You were able to cover your ass.
Luthor shakes his head.
I wouldn't call being intellectually superior to everyone on the planet luck. You clearly haven't heard of me. I was too busy to deal with you when you captured the Kryptonian. But now, I've got my eye on you. And next time you step out of line, I'm going to expose you for the little rat you are. Right. I have heard of you. You're the freak from Gotham. Everyone in that city thinks you're some kind of force of nature. But now, seeing you in person, you're just some guy. If what you're accusing me of is true, and I was able to fight off Superman, why should I be afraid of some dope in a bat costume?
The vigilante approaches Lex's desk. We now get a better look at his face as he smiles.
Because if I come after you, I won't be alone.
He then looks past Lex out his window. Luthor turns to see what he is looking at and sees Superman floating outside. The vigilante then walks back into the shadows.
Sleep well, Mr. Luthor.
Lex looks back over at Superman and opens his window.
Was he supposed to scare me?
Supes looks genuinely confused.
What are you talking about? Is who supposed to scare you?
Lex's office lights then turn back on, and he sees the masked crusader has vanished.
Nobody. Nothing. What do you want?
I came here to thank you for putting me in that other reality. It helped me realize some things, like why I'm here.
Look, I'm not really in the mood to hear the sweet lessons you've learned from your little adventure. I bet you feel pretty good about yourself, though, for saving me when Lois tried to shoot me. But I know why you did it. You didn't do it for me. You did it for her. You were just trying to save her from a life in jail. But unfortunately for you, I hold grudges, and that's exactly where she will end up one day.
Lex, if you aren't the most stubborn piece of work, you just can't accept that after everything you did to me, I still saved you. But that's why I'm here, Lex. That's what I do. I save.
That's nice. You should put that on a cereal box.
I also came here to let you know I'll be watching you.
Lex groans.
Well, you'll have to get in line.
And then closes his window and says to himself,
Capes.
Superman then soars up into the night, all the way up into space, and flies by the camera, ending the film.
The main message I want people to take away from this story, the point of it, is to show who Superman is at his core. He is truly what we should aspire to be because Lex does the cruelest thing imaginable to him. He gives him this perfect life in this false reality, this perfect family on Krypton, and then forces him to lose it all. Essentially making him lose Krypton all over again. Most sane people would kill Lex in an instant for that, and that would be more than understandable. And yet, Superman not only doesn't kill him, he saves him. Lois was about to kill Lex. He could have just not done anything, right? He could have pulled a Batman.
I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
But he didn't. He saved him anyway. That is Superman. And that's it. Wow. This took a long time to make. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my artists and the many voice actors who helped me to make all this possible. As for me, I'm currently working on the next chapter in my little DC cinematic universe. So for updates on that, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter or anything, it's just Insta. I want to get big on there though. I don't care if I have to show my ass, whatever it takes. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an amazing day.
You know what they say. If you can't beat them, make them.